will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
I beg to differ. Immigrants helped, but New York City, as well as this country, was built by Black Americans, especially our enslaved ancestors.
I want to talk about the myth that immigrants built America, that immigrants built New York City, and that everyone that is in America is an immigrant, because it's not true.
An excellent point. I listened to part of Mamdani's victory speech. I didn't hear all of it, but I did hear the part where he stated that New York City was built by immigrants. I beg to differ. Immigrants helped, but New York City, as well as this country, was built by Black Americans, especially our enslaved ancestors. And specifically regarding New York City, again, you all need to look up Seneca Village, which was a vibrant, thriving Black community that the city destroyed in order to build what is now known as Central Park. Everyone tries to discredit and erase the contributions of Black Americans who are descended from enslaved Africans and how our ancestors built this nation. Bottom line, the White House, where the East Wing is being demolished so that the felon-in-chief can have his gilded ballroom that we all need, was built by enslaved people. And so here's this narrative about immigrants. Again, you all, Black Americans, we must stand together collectively and use our voice. And by using our voice, I mean by speaking with our dollars and economic power to make sure that we get what we want and that our contributions in this country are not erased.
So I saw a clip of Zohran Mamdani saying America was built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and is led by immigrants. And immediately, a lot of Black Americans ask one question: what do you mean by immigrants built America? Because when you say immigrants, that implies choice. That implies someone migrated here. But there were people here who didn't migrate. They were forced. So what about the foundational Black Americans who literally built this country through slavery, through their labor, through their sacrifices? Why not acknowledge them too? So are we telling the whole story or just the comfortable version of it? Okay, let's watch more of the clips of people's reactions to this video. I'll be right back.
I want to talk about the myth that immigrants built America, that immigrants built New York City, and that everyone that is in America is an immigrant, because it's not true.
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
That eliminates the story of those formerly enslaved people and products of that enslavement, like myself. There's been a concerted effort to eliminate Black Americans from the conversation of their impact and importance in the way that this country was built and developed, but with free labor from my ancestors. I'm really glad that Zohran Mamdani is the mayor of New York City. I did my part to campaign for him and boost his messaging, and the fact that I thought he would make a good mayor on this page and very loudly on social media. But that doesn't abscond him from critique. Black Americans versus immigrants, and how these two aren't the same, and how it is imperative that we understand the difference when talking about the development of this nation and what that means for history and what that means for our present and our future. New York was not a city built solely by immigrants. New York was a city founded by European settlers and developed initially by the work of enslaved Black people. In the early days of New York City, Black people cleared the land, built roads, built the initial buildings, built Wall Street, built the first city hall. They built the first city ports. And Black people were vital to the success of the early days of New York City, working in various arenas such as artisans, domestic servants. Black people are pivotal to the development of this nation, full stop. And without Black Americans, no immigrant would be allowed to come here, especially no immigrant who is Black, brown, or any of the above. So when you have immigrants who are able to come to America, and they came in waves in New York. So New York was developed by immigrants as well, and immigration as well, but those waves were allowed by the development and work of Black Americans. So you have a group of people who built the country, were enslaved in this country for centuries before any immigrants came. And those immigrants are allowed to do things and being propped up over in spite of Black Americans. So when you have immigrants that come here and they're able to succeed, they're not coming with the weight or baggage of being the product of slavery here. They then turn around and look down on Black Americans or say, why can't you do what we did? Or Black Americans are lazy, but you do not understand what it means to be Black American in America. And Zohran, I've seen your team. I don't think I've seen any Black people on your team. And I hope you get someone who's Black from New York, and hopefully a Black woman, to make sure you are touching every part of the city. And that includes Black Americans who are foundational to that city, not just all the immigrant populations. Even though we all live amongst each other and New York is New York because of the diversity, there needs to be an effort to ensure that we are not eliminating Black Americans from the conversation, because without Black Americans, there would not be an America, and they would definitely not be a New York City. Congratulations once again on winning the race. I think you're going to be a phenomenal mayor. I just think this is something you need to think about, and it's something that needed to be addressed and something that's brought to your attention.
So I just got called xenophobic for saying that immigrants did not build New York City. Immigrants did not build the United States of America. I don't care which way you want to turn a key. I don't care if you came here with 50 cents. I don't care if you swam over here, if you caught a boat, a plane, a train. I don't care how you got here. If you came here once the United States of America was established as a country, and you have immigrant status or an immigrant background, you did not. You nor your ancestors nor your forefathers built this country. It is a slap in the face for all of the free labor, for all of the paid labor, the pennies paid, the blood, sweat, and tears that our ancestors poured into this country. There's some Caucasian Americans who also their ancestors helped to build this country. But a lot of you all that come over here, the Mamdani, the Zohrans, the new mayor of New York City, he's talking about New York was built by immigrants and it's going to remain an immigrant city. No, the fuck, it was not built by immigrants. That's so disrespectful. Now, did they add to what was already built? Yes. To be an immigrant literally means that you migrated to a country from your country. Why would they all want to come over here if they wasn't coming to anything that was already built? If that was the case, why they didn't just stay where the fuck they was at and build up their homelands? They came here for the American dream. They came here for a better life. They came here for resources. They came here to take. They didn't come to assimilate necessarily, because they still flying their flags and they want to create their own little subset countries within our cities. They want to bring their culture and, change people's backgrounds, their beliefs, and a lot of things that's going on. They want to make it more like where they come from instead of becoming actual Americans. And I also think that's a slap in the face. Now, I remember I heard somebody say, oh, when did Black Americans become American? Do you know how idiotic that sounds? I done said multiple times that y'all are forcing us to be patriotic out this bitch. Y'all are forcing it. Yes, we have a lot of gripe with this country. Yes, we have a lot of issues. A lot of horrific things has happened to us here, but we've also triumphed. We've been resilient. We've created things. We are embedded in the very fabric of this country. We are written into the Constitution. A lot of the things that my ancestors and my lineage that they fought for and that they worked for is why a lot of immigrants are able to come over here and benefit to this day. Now, I don't like to get into things I get deep, but I try to not go all the way there, because I get tired of arguing with you motherfuckers. I be so tired of arguing with y'all. But the Arab community, a lot of them are very racist. The Muslim, I'm trying not to, the misogyny, the way women are treated. The Arab slave trade was the most horrific shit on planet Earth, and it's still happening to this day. Y'all better wake the fuck up. Just because somebody is singing New York by Jay-Z and eating fucking chicken wings with you, that does not mean that they have your best interest at heart. When are we going to stop falling from the fucking blood clot minstrel show? It gets to a point. It gets to a motherfucking point. A lot of those people, not all, don't fuck with the LGBTQ. A lot of the shit that you on, y'all are voting for people that are completely opposite of what your core values and beliefs are. And you just don't even fucking know it. Because you play too much into the smoke and mirrors. And in New York City, where I'm from, we had the Harlem fucking Renaissance. That was happening simultaneously with the Great Depression. Do you know how fucking magical that is? That a Renaissance was happening? Black Americans was creating the most beautiful pieces of art. Curating the most beautiful fucking art pieces that is known to the modern world. And the rest of the world, outside of that hub, outside of that bubble, was going through a fucking Great Depression. That's how great we are. Central Park was built over a village that was filled with beautiful black people called Seneca Village. Wall Street, we built that shit. The fucking bridges, the Brooklyn Bridge, we built all of this shit. Did other people come and help and add? Yes. But did they build it? No. The foundation was already here. So it is a disrespect and a slap in the face to fucking say, it's like y'all just trying to erase black American people. And I'm not going for that ethnic erasure. We're not going. So if I'm xenophobic for that, then so be it. I had somebody say, oh, I'm unfollowing you because you've been xenophobic. Bitch, I'm xenophobic for saying that immigrants didn't fucking build New York. Did I lie?
Who built New York City? New York's new mayor, Zohran Mamdani. I probably butchered it, so I apologize. I was with his speech and everything he had going all the way up until he said New York City was built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and now ran by immigrant, whatever the hell. Get that part, but it was not built by immigrants. It was built by enslaved black Americans. Let's not erase history. And this be my issue sometimes when immigrants get in power. It's like y'all want to erase the history and the foundation of America. And it kind of annoys me sometimes because it's just like you could have said built by enslaved Africans, developed by immigrants. He said nothing about American citizens at all in the ending of that speech at all. He gave all the credit to immigrants. And New York City does have the highest population of immigration. Definitely understand that it is a multicultural city. That's what makes New York what it is. Definitely love that, but let's not discredit people. Let's not discredit actual American citizens, okay? I don't know, y'all could chew me up in the comments, but I just pay attention to little stuff like that, and yeah, I just wasn't feeling that part, so And I did do my research on him, and I see that he was campaigning in clubs and churches. He was campaigning to Jews. Like, he was hitting every corner, Caribbeans, Latinos, black Americans. He has been hitting every corner of campaigning. But let's be real. We know how campaigning works. You got to get people on your team. I'll continue to do more research on him because I don't know too much about him. And yeah, I don't know. It's just something a little, I don't know. And just an FYI, black Americans are not immigrants to America. Okay?
It hurt listening to the speech and being left out of it, like having your entire community left out of it. Especially considering Zohran Mamdani is the first person that I excitedly voted for, and then he won. It felt so good to vote for someone who won. To turn around and be completely left out of his, victory speech, I don't know. I feel like it's very telling. New York was built on the backs of my enslaved ancestors and on the graves of my genocided ancestors. And Zohran left out Black Americans, Indigenous Americans, and, the intersection of the two, Afro-Indigenous Americans in his speech. None of us immigrated here. Either we were already here and our land got stolen from us by colonizers, or we quite literally were kidnapped from where we lived and taken to a whole new world to have our bodies and our labor exploited. Someone who really cares about socialism would uplift the most marginalized in the community. He has an all-female team. An all-female team, to me, when you do a speech like that and your all-female team does not include one Black American, I am tired of feminism only including certain women. I'm tired of feminism not including trans women or disabled women or, Black women at this point. And I think that Zohran really needs to address what has happened and make some choices that is actually going to resolve and build trust between him and the Black community. Black and Indigenous Americans are tired of being overlooked. We are tired of having our stories be ignored, our histories be erased, and the credit for the things that we did in this country to build this country be erased. The concept that immigrants built New York wouldn't even exist without how much fight my ancestors put into this system to ensure that people could actually become citizens. The 14th Amendment is specifically something that my ancestors fought for to ensure that we were naturalized and that anyone born on American soil is a citizen. The will of my ancestors is being overlooked when we don't include them in these narratives. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 quite literally states that you cannot discriminate against someone based off of their religious creed, their sexuality, their race, or any of these protected classes. And these are things that my ancestors, or even the people who are still alive today, worked to pass so that everyone can have as much opportunity in the U.S. as possible. I'm very disappointed. There has to be some restitution. There has to be some action taken so that he can earn the trust of Black and Indigenous Americans. And there's just so many other intersections of people who are constantly left out of these sorts of narratives. A lot of people come to the U.S., they end up building their families, building their businesses, they end up thriving financially. And then they look at Black and Indigenous communities and they're like, we were able to come here and build, and we were able to gain so much success. You've been here hundreds of years before us. Why haven't you done that? And it's narratives like this. It's stories that leave us out like this. It's this idea that we didn't work hard to create the society we have today. This idea that we don't matter. It's a concerted effort on the part of white supremacists to undervalue our lives, our contribution, our labor, so that they can continue exploiting all of those things. A New York that doesn't recognize Black and Indigenous people is a New York that's not going to recognize any other. None of us are free until all of us are free. Someone wrote that speech. Someone on his team wrote that speech. He's responsible for his words. And he's responsible for reconciling with the Black and Indigenous community in New York.
Let's slow this down. When we talk about immigrants, we are usually talking about people who left their homeland searching for opportunity. They made a decision, they packed belongings, they boarded planes or ships. They came hoping to build something better. That story is real and it matters. But enslaved Black Americans did not come here looking for opportunity. They did not choose America. They were taken, placed into a system where their bodies became labor, where their labor became wealth, and where that wealth became the foundation of a growing nation. Before industrial expansion, before massive immigration waves, before America became what it is today, there was already an economic base: cotton, tobacco, rice, infrastructure, financial institutions, connected to slavery. That foundation wasn't built by immigrants, it was built by the enslaved. So when Black Americans react to the phrase built by immigrants, it's not about denying anyone else's contribution. It's about saying, don't reduce our ancestors to a footnote. Don't blur forced displacement into voluntary migration. There is a difference between arriving by choice and arriving in chains. And history deserves that distinction. Because when we simplify the story too much, we unintentionally erase the people whose labor came before the narrative of immigration ever expanded. And that part of the story deserves to be spoken clearly. So I ask you, if we ignore them, if we erase their role, if we simplified the story to make it comfortable, then who truly built America? Who deserves the recognition? Who do we owe the truth to? Thank you so much for watching today's video. Please support the channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.